Oh, so you want the real details about the Apple iPhone 13 and Apple iPhone 13 Pro. Well, you guys came to the right place because yesterday's videos, those are old news, the cameras, the new ProMotion display, the new colors. We want to cut a little bit deeper today, go over the things that Apple didn't really tell you about. So these are the most interesting tidbits about the iPhone 13 that I bet you didn't know, and there are some weird little things inside of here. Let's go ahead and jump in. So what are you waiting for? If you're excited for today's video, drop a like down below. It seriously helps me and the channel out. And click that subscribe button and turn on the bell for notifications so that you never miss a beat. Alright, so obviously there's a smaller notch on all the iPhone 13s this year, and you might be an optimist like me. You might have said, wow, this is so great that I can finally actually use the extra space. Like, rather than it just physically looking different, there could be some additional functionality. Are you also naive and just have the best hopes for everything in your life just to be continuously let down by yourself and everyone around you? Yeah. Me too. Because apparently, you still can't show your battery percentage next to your battery. And this has been a thing since the iPhone 10 because of the notch that we couldn't see anymore. It was just the battery icon and not the battery percentage. And I'm sure Apple's reasoning is that the battery life is just so good, yada yada. I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to come up with excuses for why I can't view the battery percentage, and it's not going to work on me. I just want to view my battery percentage next to the notch, and since it's smaller, it should be there. There's even these concepts of how it could work. Sebastian over on Twitter popping off with these great ideas, and yet they're still not implemented. So who knows, maybe in a future software update we see this, but I just wanted to let you know right now, the logical thing you were thinking, turns out it's not so logical after all. Following that, last year was the big 5G moment for the iPhones, which I'm kind of excited. I think I want to test again on the 13s, but Apple has said this year there are now even more 5G bands. And I thought initially, oh, that means the fastest type of 5G, mmWave 5G that allows you to do, 4,000 megabits per second down and 1,000 or 2,000 up. It's nuts when it actually works on street corners. I thought that would expand outside of the US. Apple seems to be suggesting that you will simply be able to get faster speeds in more areas globally, but that's of the sub 6 gigahertz spectrum, not of the millimeter wave. So again, the millimeter wave 5G, the premium, the actual promise of 5G, that's again exclusive to US models. So I guess if you live anywhere else in the world, you're gonna have to hit up one of your little friends in America and have them ship you out a millimeter wave iPhone. Next up, I mentioned this in my video yesterday, but I just wanted to highlight it again because it is pretty wild. There are two different A15 chips this year, and depending on which iPhone 13 you buy, you are getting a different version of the A15 chip because of this thing called chip binning, where Apple can adjust how many cores there are on each version. So the lower end version of the A15 chip has 6 cores of CPU and only 4 cores of GPU, but the more premium version has a 6-core CPU, which is identical, but a 5-core GPU for additional graphics performance. So let's play a little game called Guess Which Phone Gets the More Premium Chip. Yeah, it's obviously the Pros because you're paying more money, but this is the first time we've ever seen Apple make a differentiation between the chips across iPhone lines ever. Historically, obviously, the higher end iPhones have had more higher end features because you're paying more. I think that's how economics work, but they've never ever seen a difference in chips. It's very similar to how this M1 iMac has an 8-core CPU and a 7-core GPU, but other M1 iMacs you can get an 8-core CPU and an 8-core GPU because again, they've binned the chips differently. They've just made one lower power and the other higher. That being said, I want to make it very clear that one GPU core is not going to be a night and day difference, but it will be a bit more powerful for graphics. Just to put that out there. I don't know if you'll actually notice it. You probably won't unless you're doing a lot of gaming, GPU intensive tasks on your phone, but if you do, then you might notice a slight difference. What you won't notice a difference on is in RAM capacity because Apple is leaving that unchanged from the iPhone 12s last year. So the iPhone 13 mini and the iPhone 13 have 4 gigabytes of RAM inside, and the higher end iPhone 13 Pro and iPhone 13 Pro Max, that's so annoying to say, these have 6 gigabytes of RAM. So 4 and 6, just like last year, no change there, and I don't know if we really needed a change because I've never seen a RAM issue with either of these. Even with the extra 2 gigabytes, I'll be honest, couldn't have noticed it, couldn't really tell you why. Probably though, it will help for something like the new ProRes video that these phones can shoot, specifically the Pro models. At the event, Apple talked about ProRes video, and initially it sounded kind of like the ProRes photos, where it's obviously going to be a larger file size with significantly more data, but not like that much bigger. No, it's gigantic. In fact, a minute of 4K 60 ProRes video is apparently going to take 4 gigabytes of space. That obviously is insane and would fill up your 128 gigabyte base iPhone 13 Pro pretty quickly. So Apple has actually put a stipulation in here where they just will not let you record 4K 60 ProRes at all unless you get more storage. It's actually pretty funny because you have to get a 256 gigabyte iPhone 13 Pro or Pro Max or bigger to record 4K ProRes. That's the only way you can do it. So you'll have software limited to 1080p 30 on the 128 gigabyte iPhone. So if you actually care about the best video features, you have to get more space. And now that this feature's here, I kind of get why there's a 1 terabyte option, because if you do want to record that high quality footage, yeah, I mean 1 terabyte makes sense, although it does start more expensive than any iPhone in history. Next up, I want to take a quick look at the new wallpapers shipping on the iPhone 13 and the iPhone 13 Pro. And I don't know what it is, but this is legitimately one of the things that I get most excited for every year. I look what I'm rocking right now. I'm rocking the default iOS 15 wallpaper on my 12 Pro. I don't know what it is. I kind of am into the Apple stock wallpapers. So let's start off with the iPhone 13 and the 13 mini. These will come pre-installed on the phones, and they take inspiration from the new crisscross camera pattern. Apple's alluded to this in their marketing a lot. I mean, rather than it just looks different, they're saying there were functional requirements for the camera sensors to use that layout. The wallpapers obviously match the devices from pink to blue to midnight to starlight to product red, and they've got these bright punchy colors with gradients sort of laced in between. I think they look really, really dope. If you guys want to download these, I will leave a link down below. And then moving on to the Pro wallpapers, they're a bit more hyper realistic, which is something we don't usually see from Apple. It's generally very abstract or something made in CGI, but this genuinely looks like Apple set up these light beams and then took photos respective of the colors of the iPhone 13 Pros, which does look pretty slick. I'm feeling kind of bad about myself. I wish I had a light bar right here or right here to spruce up my video. I think it does show you that Apple is ultimately a better content creator than I am, and I just have to admit that sometimes. But more than there just being new wallpapers, you'll actually be able to see them brighter than ever before on both the iPhone 13 and the iPhone 13 Pro, with the 13 and the 13 mini now going up to 800 nits of brightness, which is where the Pro models on the iPhone 12 last year peaked out. The iPhone 13 Pros this year now go up to 1000 nits. So both of these are going to be significantly brighter outside, which is going to help a lot, because while the iPhones get pretty bright right now, you guys know how it is. When you're in direct sunlight, it's still pretty hard to see what's on your screen. And you don't even have to feel bad about turning your brightness up a whole lot on these because of the insane battery life. But there is one final detail that I have seen basically nobody mention so far that I find fascinating, and Apple kind of glazed over it, but it seems like a pretty fundamental change for their packaging. This year, there's no plastic around the box. None. Nowhere to be found. You can see a photo, a glimpse of what this looks like from a slide, and even over on Apple's website. It's a similar packaging to last year with the phone situated there. But as you can see from my unboxing last year, it was wrapped in plastic to obviously make sure the phone wouldn't A, fall out, and B, have some security protection so that you couldn't just pop the box open and take a phone out that easily. But this year, Apple hasn't explained how they've solved this problem yet. And while we don't know the how yet, Apple says this change alone, which just goes to show you the scale of Apple's operation. 600 metric tons of plastic will be saved based on this decision alone to not wrap them in plastic. And what do we do with plastic as soon as we get it? It goes immediately in the trash. So I'm looking forward to see what Apple has actually solved here. Is it a sticker? Is it Velcro or some other kind of mechanism that they use to fasten it? Like, how are you gonna know if a box has been opened, if it's new or used? I'm looking forward to the unboxings this year. We rarely get significant packaging changes. I mean, I guess we did last year with no charger. No charger. But all joking aside, this is a change I fully support, and I'm happy to see Apple think outside of the box here. Literally. because this actually could have a pretty significant impact. So that's all for today. Hope you guys enjoyed these tidbits. It's always fun, digging in and seeing what we can find that Apple didn't really talk about on stage. So if you guys enjoyed it, you learned something new, drop a like down below. Helps me in the channel out, and hit subscribe so you're always staying up to date on the latest Apple news. I've been Sam. Hope you're doing well, and I'll catch you cool cats in my next video. Bye.